Round 2, Game 1 is afoot with the Detroit Red Wings, a team we've not seen since Season 1 of that year's playoffs, and we beat them in 6 crazy games of that series. There was a couple of players on this team that were on that Season 1 team that played the Red Wings. Matt Duchene, Max Pacioretty, to name a couple of them. I think it's only a handful of guys. I think they were only the handful of players that were on that Season 1 roster for the Canadiens. And now we'll take a look at who's on the roster of the Season 12 Detroit Red Wings. Detroit is led by Anthony Mantha, Gus Nyquist. I think Nyquist may have been on the Season 1 team. Tursunbayev, a first overall draft pick by the Red Wings. I don't know what year. I want to say 2019 or something like that. They have Im Betts. It's not Mookie Betts. It is Im Betts on the left wing, second line position. Johansson, this is a really solid roster they put together, by the way, as I just kind of looking up and down this roster. They have an Afinogenov. It's not Maxim Afinogenov. Brendan Gallagher, who was on the Season 1 Detroit Red Wings, Season 1 Montreal Canadiens, rather, that played those Red Wings. He is now on the other side of the ledger this time. Riley Sheahan right down the middle. Great center depth in Detroit. Very tremendous depth all around in Detroit. Kyle Okposo on the third line wing. Calvert, Terrell, Usula makes up the bottom six, the fourth line there. The defense pairing: Sproul 85, Tanev 85 overall. Doig with Danny DeKeyser, a long-time Red Wing is Danny DeKeyser. Poirier and Hatcher make up the third D pair. More than likely some injuries to go around on this Red Wings team, especially probably on that blue line power play. A snapshot of it. There it is. This is the penalty kill. The normal 5-on-4 penalty kill. This is the 3-man PK. The goaltender is going to be Michael Neuwirth with Peter Mrazek. So Peter Mrazek, who was a big part of our Flames GM mode, maintained his stay in Detroit this time around in the Canadiens GM mode. Hey, look at the player stats through 6 games in the playoffs. I'm not really going to break this down. This is mostly here just in case anyone wants to see what the best producers for Detroit were in round 1. I will also pull up Tursunbayev so we can all see. He was a bang on 2019 first overall pick by Detroit. He's been around here for a while, waiting to get deeper into the postseason. Here's, in fact, his career numbers. There it is. Career NHL games, including the postseason. His current deal is a 4-year, $7.7 million deal. And they were last here in 2021-2022 when he contributed 3 points in 6 games with Detroit. Is he the next, Is Tursunbayev the next Fedorov? Is he he's got to have white skates, just like Fedorov. Got to wear the white skates. A Russian superstar playing for the Detroit Red Wings. Marcus Johansson, Marty Betts, that's the first name. Marty Betts, got to get it in my mind. Gus Nyquist, Danny DeKeyser, Anthony Mantha. Gallagher is here, wearing number 16 with the Detroit Red Wings, the former Montreal Canadien. Boris Afinogenov, number 77, in the lineup. Matt Calvert, down the list we're going to go. Chris Tanev, Maurice Poirier, could be a call-up. Ryan Sproul, Leonard Doig, Ted Hatcher, Dana Tyrell, Jeff Petrie, Usula. So there's definitely injuries. We did not see anything from Petrie. He's only played the 1 game. That's definitely a bump on the blue line. There are injuries. Jeff Petrie is one of those injuries until July 8th with a broken leg. That means he is not at all returning for the postseason, being that he will be out until July. So he's gone. So too is JT Miller. That is JT Miller. He's been injured with a lacerated arm. That's pretty rough. I wonder if a skate did that horror to JT Miller. He's done until July 9. Radko Gudas on the blue line, June 15, which we are obviously still in the month of May, or actually in the month of April. We haven't reached May 4 because Ouellette is not returning to the lineup. So those are all pretty big injuries, significant losses for Detroit that they have accrued through the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. A familiar sight, round 2 for the Canadiens, and a place we have not been to in quite some time. The Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, and is as of the 2024-25 season, apparently the Joe still stands in this alternate universe we have going on here. I've actually been to the Joe. I've actually been to Joe Louis Arena more than a decade ago. It was 11 years ago. I went to, what did I do? I went on a big trip with my mother 11 years ago. It was really fun and very enjoyable memories, to specifically, first of all, to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I enjoyed. So I went to Cleveland. There's no disrespect if you live in Cleveland, but there's not a lot to see in Cleveland. There really is not a lot to see in Cleveland. That big save on Turzumbayev. We're going to scoop that puck out of harm's way. Sidney Crosby coming off of a 5-point effort and trying to recreate the goal that won the game against the Maple Leafs in Game 5. He almost did on that breakaway chance. But yeah, I went to Cleveland. There's not a lot to see there other than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for me. Walked around a little bit around downtown Cleveland. Then after Cleveland, we went to Detroit, Michigan, which is, not really too far of a drive. Not exactly up the road, but, Detroit, Michigan. The Hurricanes were in town. We planned this trip in October of 2015. The Hurricanes were in town, and I saw a game at the fabled Joe Louis Arena. It is a really unique building. I'll talk more about the Joe. I'm sure I've talked and told stories in the past as well about Joe Louis Arena and my experience checking a game out there. And so we saw the Hurricanes play the Red Wings. The Hurricanes won that game. I remember getting very friendly, not an ill chirp, but just very friendly chirped by a Red Wings fan walking through downtown Detroit after the game. Now, the Hurricanes sucked at that time. They were really bad. And then after we saw the game in Detroit, headed out to across to Windsor, Canada, and into Canada for the first time in my life. And I drove into Toronto from there to see the Hockey Hall of Fame in person. And I saw the Hockey Hall of Fame, and that was the end of that trip. And then on the way out of Toronto on that trip, I came down through Buffalo. So I've been to Buffalo, saw Buffalo, New York. There's, again, no ill will toward you if you live in Buffalo, but there wasn't a whole lot to see in the parts of Buffalo I saw. Went to Buffalo, came back down through Pennsylvania, saw the Gettysburg Battlefield, historic American Civil War. What a goal! It's a deflection. I thought it was a goal for the defenseman, for the blue liner. More on my trip to Gettysburg in a minute. Matt Duchene has just annihilated the Red Wings with the early salvo in the game. Well, that's a little bit optimistic to believe that we've annihilated the Red Wings with the first goal in the game and in the series. It's off the post and in. It may have even caught the top of the pad of Neuwirth in the goal crease. How about that? Detroit had a couple of decent possessions to start the game. It went nowhere, and the Canadiens take the lead. So yeah, we came back through. It was really cool to see Gettysburg in person. The town, it's a small little town of Gettysburg. But again, I pointed this out before, but if you're ever in the Pennsylvania area near Gettysburg and near Hershey as well, definitely check out Gettysburg. It's really cool just to see it in person, especially for those of us in America here that have done history projects on many American Civil War battles and battlefields. I did many projects on Gettysburg as a kid, so to see it in person was neat. And that was basically the highlights of that trip 11 years ago. Really awesome. I remember it like it was yesterday. But the big, what did I even begin pointing out? Joe Louis Arena, right. The big part for me was I actually was one of the lucky people that got to see, we're offside here, I'm one of the lucky people that was able to see a game at the Joe. So the point of me bringing this story up is to talk about the experience. It is definitely, I've said this so many times, it's definitely an arena, and every time we play a game at Joe Louis Arena in the video game, I'll probably tell this story, but it really is a building that it showed its age, and I was in there at the end of its lifespan, literally a couple of years before they demolished it. And I hate that they demolished the Joe. It was such an iconic building and saw so many crazy hockey memories, so many moments in the sports history took place at Joe Louis Arena. The incredible fight night at the Joe in 1997. I was alive then, but that was well before I became a hockey fan. I was just 3 years old at the time. But the incredible, fight that broke out at the Joe between the Avalanche and the Red Wings. It's seen a few Stanley Cup championships for Detroit as well. Multiple Stanley Cup final games played in Joe Louis Arena. And some incredible Red Wings teams as well along the way. Detroit had some stacked rosters for a long time there. They really built something special. Did the Red Wings in the late 90s and the early 2000s. They were really highly... You know what's crazy to think about the Red Wings? In the real world, they were really super competitive for like 2 decades straight. They did not miss the playoffs for a long time. Built competitive teams that didn't just make the playoffs, but they won Stanley Cup championships. They were consistently a contender in that span of time. And what they built, it's not only that they just built really good teams, they drafted really well as well. They were really good at drafting players and developing them to sustain their success over many decades. It really is something you have to look in awe and respect of what the Red Wings were able to build in that phase of time. They're kind of going through their own little rebuild right now. It's tough if you're a Red Wings fan right now because that team just feels like they're never going to make the playoffs, doesn't it? So if any Red Wings fans are watching this game, I know what you're going through to a certain degree, where it's so tough. You want to get back into the playoffs and your team's just a little out of reach. I thought it would happen for them this year. It looked like they were certainly going to make it this year. Inside out moved Crosby on to Kaiser. That was really well played by the longtime Red Wings defenseman. Sent in now behind the net of Zach Fucale. And I'll talk about Fucale as well in a minute. We got a tie up in front of the net. Play that post shot, blocked down, saved by Fucale. He is unreal. Who needs Carey Price? This guy might be better than Carey Price in his prime. That is a really incredibly bold statement for me to make because Carey Price in his prime years, the best goalie in the NHL. One of my favorite goalies of the modern era. I was going to wait on a replay, but it took so long for them to show one that I just skipped it. I got impatient, and we'll play that puck inadvertently back out to center ice. And I love the Hockey Hall. By the way, on my trip, I love the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's so cool to see a lot of... I wish I could go back and see it again. And I just need to make another trip to Canada. It's been too long. Honestly, I need to make... I've said this as well before. There's so many things that I'm basically repeating myself that I've said so many things before. But I do need to make a trip to Montreal. I've got to get up to Montreal. It's definitely a city that I've heard is pretty cool from people that I know in person that are actually Canadian. Have told me that, you'd love Montreal if you go there. You would love the downtown area. Check it all out if you ever get a chance to be there. And I definitely want to check out a Habs game in person. I have not checked out a Leafs game in person. When I was in Toronto to see the Hall of Fame, the Leafs were not in town. They were on a road trip to start that regular season. They were on the road. So, and I actually watched a Canadiens game in the hotel that was played in the Bell Center when I was in Toronto. I think they were playing the Red Wings. I'm pretty sure they were playing the Red Wings. I'll have to go back and look at the schedule from October 2015 and see. That was such a bad missed pass for Duchesne. See who the Canadiens were playing, but it was on the TV in the excuse me. It was on the TV in the hotel room. I remember driving into downtown Toronto, and I remember all of it. Like, how you can sometimes remember things that it's like there's a picture in your head, like you're there. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God, Neuwirth, you did not! You naughty boy! I had him down and out. Look at this by Max Pacioretty perseverance, but even more, the perseverance of Michael Neuwirth. That was dirty delicious. What a save. He reached across with a paddle. He gets it with the blocker. All right, power play, you got some work to be done. Neuwirth just put his stamp on this series with that save. That could be a game changer for this one. Ming, he just was set up for a body check. If I go at Sheahan, is it a penalty? I think I destroyed Riley Sheahan behind the play in retribution. Oh my God, it's the second time they got Su Kai-Ming on the same shift. Riley Sheahan again. Riley Sheahan is a very violent man. This is hockey. What else did you think it would be? That was another really bad deke there by Sidney Crosby. All right, let's just tone it down a little bit. Pick up the puck, Ronning, skate. They got a man coming out of the box, so I'm going to just get here, Crosby. Oh, they don't know what to do. They're in awe of Sidney Crosby. Everybody should be in awe of Sidney Crosby. Brent Burns, we're trying to get you that Stanley Cup this year. That's what we're working so hard for. Sproul! They didn't give the penalty to Riley Sheahan, but they can give... I know it's a charge. I think I saw the indication from the referee. I turned my head away from the television screen. I'm sure that this is definitely a charge. There's no... Do you see how many strides he took into that body check? But you know what? After what they just did to Su Kai-ming, this is going to be a very violent and physical series. And that'll fling wide. I wish... so back to my... I can talk all night about my trip to Toronto. But I wish I had my phone. Like, I wish I could access the phone that I took the pictures on. The memory card. I'm sure there's a way I can figure out how to access the memory card because it's a broken phone. The phone that went with me to Toronto, I still have it. But the memory card, the phone's broken. Like, I dropped it and broke it. But I can't turn the phone on and access the phone through the phone screen because it's broken. But I wonder if I could get into the memory card. That was really weird. What the hell was that back check? Duchesne was pulling off all kinds of fancy bits on the rush there. Anything else for me to talk about my trips? There was something else that I was going to say. I mean, I might as well. This is just discussion time with me right now. This is just me thinking out loud. So I followed the Canes to Detroit. It's not the first time I followed the Hurricanes on the road. In fact, I did a whole road trip in Western Canada with the Hurricanes 2 years later in 2017 when I was still going to college at that time. So in October of 2017, I went on a road trip to follow the Hurricanes. That what a block with the stick blade. It went out of play. It shattered the stick and it went over the glass. That's crazy. If they gave me a delay of game penalty, I'd be so pissed for that. Because that was definitely blocked out of play and not cleared by his own hand. It is obviously not a delay of game penalty. And so in 2017, I went to... Where did we go first? Where did I go first? I went to... The first stop on that road trip was... We flew to Winnipeg. Is that what it was? Yes. Flew to Winnipeg. Had a layover in Minnesota. So I had a layover in the Minneapolis airport. Then flew from Minneapolis to Winnipeg. We touched down in Winnipeg. Trevor Carrick, who was called up, by the way, for the Carolina Hurricanes, was on my flight. He was literally the person in the seat behind me on the flight to Winnipeg. It was kind of crazy. We get out of the airport, and he is literally right beside me in the airport getting his bags as he'd been called up for that game and for that road trip for whatever reason, an injury or whatever it was. And so we ended up in Winnipeg, saw the Hurricanes play a game in Winnipeg. They lost that game. Then got in a car, rented a car, drove all the way across Western Canada to Saskatoon because the drive from Winnipeg to Saskatoon is like, it's a long drive. It's like a 9-hour, I thought it was like an 8 or 9 hour drive or something like that. So we get to Saskatoon late at night. We pulled into this super cool hotel. It was like an old like castle. So if you look up the Castle Hotel in Saskatoon, that's where we stayed. Got breakfast. Oh my God, if that's going to go in off my defenseman, I'm going to be pissed off. Got breakfast in Saskatoon. I also, in Winnipeg, shoot that puck. In Winnipeg, I got breakfast at a super awesome joint that was, oh my God, I got to defend this. That's going to be saved by Fucali. I can't even talk. I can't even do story time because we got breakdowns going on all over the ice for both teams. The breakfast place I ate out in Winnipeg was amazing. It was a delicious breakfast in Winnipeg. The helmet's in the net! I didn't even realize the helmet had ended up in the net. I'll remember that breakfast for a long time. I have a gluten allergy, by the way, so I cannot eat gluten. I literally have an allergy to it. And so this place had delicious gluten-free options for breakfast in Winnipeg, and I would 100% eat there if they're still in business, if I ever find myself going back to Winnipeg. We weren't in Saskatoon, but just to stay the night and get up the next morning and get breakfast. And then from Saskatoon, finished the drive to Edmonton, saw the Hurricanes play in Edmonton. And I'll continue this story at the beginning of period 2. And we're getting outshot 15-6, man. We got to turn it up a little bit, turn up the volume offensively. So to continue the story, saw the Hurricanes play in Edmonton. I think I spent two nights in Edmonton. And the Hurricanes won in Edmonton. They played a pretty damn good game in Edmonton on that trip. And then from Edmonton, drove down to Calgary, which was a really easy short drive. Saw the Canes play in Calgary, and that was the end of that road trip. And in Calgary, that's where I got my souvenir. In Calgary, I bought a mug that I still have and regularly drink coffee out of. It has the Canadian flag. It's a red mug, white Canadian flag, or Canadian maple leaf on it. It's basically the Canadian flag. And then on the handle, it says Canada. It's a red handle with the word Canada in white on it. And I love that mug. I tried to take good care of that mug because I guess I am, in some ways, maybe I should be considered an honorary Canadian. And that shot whistles well wide. Love Canada, love the Canadians. Canadian people, by the way, you guys are so uber friendly. Like, really, all the Canadian people I run into whenever I go to Canada and have made trips, everyone's just so freaking friendly, helpful, and very nice people. Love the people of Canada. So shout out to the people of Canada for just being so extremely pleasant. And when I go to games in Canada, everyone I sit beside is just so eager to sit down and talk hockey with me. And many of the Canadian people I sat around were shocked, like, whoa, you're a Hurricanes fan from North Carolina that came all the way out to Canada to catch a Hurricanes road trip. Yeah, I love my team that much. Especially the 2017 Hurricanes, who were pretty bad. And I caught them on that road trip and had some lovely discussions in general about the game of hockey with some of the people I sat beside on that road trip. So anyway, I don't even know what else to talk about. We should just talk about the gameplay instead of my trips. It was really cool to be able to see a game in the Saddledome as well, because I know they're going to tear the Saddledome down eventually. And the Flames, this is the Flames' last season coming up at the Saddledome. And that is you want to talk about an old building? My God, that building has not aged well. The Scotiabank Saddledome. It was pretty old when I went there almost 10 years ago. I don't even know if it looks any older than it does now. The bathrooms, my God, the age of the bathrooms. And speaking of bathrooms, if you went to Joe Louis Arena and you used the toilets in the Joe, you would know that they have like the old urinal troughs. That's how old the bathrooms in the Joe are. They still had the old urinal trough when I went to the Joe. Now, it's not the first time I've ever used a urinal trough. Here in North Carolina, we have a college football team, the NC State Wolfpack, and they play at a football stadium called Carter Finley Stadium, which is where the Hurricanes played an outdoor game a couple of years ago that I was at. I attended that game. Anyway, the point about Carter Finley and the Wolfpack and everything is I went to football games as a kid, and in the bathroom when I was a kid, they had urinal troughs in the men's bathroom back then. So it's not the first time I've used a actual trough to pee in, but it's the first time I'd done that in a long time when I went to Joe Louis Arena. It was kind of jarring. The urinals at Scotiabank Saddledome are just normal urinal toilets, but the bathrooms are freaking aged as hell. It's like they haven't even renovated the bathrooms. The concourses looked... I don't know how to explain the concourses if you haven't seen the concourse. It's just... The concourses at the Saddledome are just old. So was the Joe. The Joe just had I mean, no disrespect to the Saddledome here, but the Joe had an aura about it, despite it being old. There was just an aura about the Joe. I think a lot of that has to do with how... What a goal by Duchesne! I didn't expect that to go in. I just thought I would twist, turn, spin, shoot on the forehand, and it goes in. He has 2 goals in the game, doesn't he? Because he had the deflection earlier. We get out, there's a screen in front. We kind of had a bit of a pick, a tie-up in front of the goaltender. So going back to Joe Louis Arena, because that goal was pretty nice and there's nothing else to talk about. The Joe just had an aura to it. I cannot explain. It's a pretty nice building. For being so old. It was pretty nice for being so old, to the point that I kind of hate that they left the Joe Louis Arena, but I guess they didn't see any point in renovating it, just build a nicer, more modern, upscale arena. Well, the problem with the modern arenas is all the modern arenas are all extremely cookie cutters. You know, they all look the same, they all feel the same. They all have the same modern amenities. There's nothing unique about them. What was unique about the Joe is that the sightlines at the Joe Louis Arena felt extremely intimate. Like, you feel like you're really close to the playing surface. You felt closer to the game at Joe Louis Arena. The sightlines were really good, at least where I sat. I had a really good view of the game, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. Now, I'll tell you this. Edmonton has that new modern arena that I went to when I went up to Edmonton. And I gotta give it up to Edmonton. They really nailed their new arena. What a kick-out save. They nailed their new arena because I gotta say, Edmonton has gotta be the most comfortable arena, bar none, that I've ever sat in my life. Like the seating is so good. The leg spacing is perfect. Like you have perfect spacing between the people in front of you and the people beside you. So the leg spacing in Edmonton is great. It's a really big, so it's a big arena because it looks big because it is big. And if you step foot in the arena in Edmonton, it feels huge in that building. That is probably the one arena I've been in, and I haven't been to a ton of arenas, but of the ones that I have been in, Edmonton's feels massive inside. Like the interior feels huge in Edmonton. But like I said, I mean, it is a nice barn, but it feels like every other modern arena that's been built in the last how many years? We're gonna skate. Are we gonna skate into a hat trick? We will not. Neuwirth keeps the puck out off of Matt Duchene, looking for that third goal of the game. And they're trying to pick fights as well because they have nothing else going for them in this one. This has been a bit of a slog of a game too. It's had some interesting moments. This game has had some strange plays happening in it, but there hasn't been a whole lot for me to talk about aside from my trips to NHL arenas past. It just felt relevant to talk about Joe Louis Arena just one more time since we're playing here. And I really do hate badly that the Wings had to tear it down because it really was I feel like if you lived in Detroit, it probably held a special place in your heart if you're a Red Wings fan. Like, if you saw a lot of games there and you captured a lot of memories in that arena, that it probably hurt to see it get torn down. Like, man, I had a lot of childhood or whatever memories at Joe Louis Arena, and now they've torn it down and they're building a new one. Now you get to go make new memories in a new arena. I'll probably feel that way one day when the Hurricanes eventually. I'm passing this off for Pacioretty. He gave up the chance at a hat trick to give Pacioretty an opportunity at a goal that was turned aside by Michael Neuwirth, brought in now. None of these possessions are ending in much of anything for Detroit. I think the injuries, they have racked up quite a few injuries entering this playoffs. And I think it's starting to take a hold on this first game here. It will take a hold on this series. Kuzminski inside-out move. Now we're going to cut back, shoot. Blocked off the leg. Who's behind the net? Who went behind the net? Is that Duchene? Is he still out here? He's been on a long shift. Pick it up, Severson. Oh, they pass it off. Tursenbayev, just too much. Man, the Red Wings have been really indecisive about shooting the puck, unlike Toronto, who was really quick to shoot the puck. We will milk out the icing out of this. I've never seen an AI so discombobulated, and there's a word for you. Word of the day, discombobulated. I was discombobulated on this save from Neuwirth. Look at the aggressive play. He attacked the shooter. When a goaltender does that, that really cut down the angle. But if there's a rebound, you're out of position. You're gone. You're just done on the rebound chance. Nice, clean, totally clean hit. Legitimately clean. Neuwirth made another save with a screen. And that's a clean hit as well. I'm not going to write any complaints to the league about it. I'm going to pull this up. Shooting short side, but it missed. Bounces over the stick of Bertrand. We got a fun gameplay going because we are just dominating these guys. Tursenbayev a little inside out and a little bit of a how do you do with the poke check. Pushing that puck back towards center ice, but the Detroit Red Wings have kept it in right now as they're dogging it in the corner here. Begris in front, tap on chance. I don't even know if that reached the goaltender. Poked along by Messier. Out of the scrum comes Tursenbayev with it. He tried to go skate the stick. That chance hot in front was turned aside by my goaltender. Puck bounces again over a Canadiens player's stick. This will be sent behind the net. Messier. He just did like 2 360s in a row. I'm surprised that he didn't lose his balance and fall to the ice surface. I would have been dizzy after that sequence. Doig on the return feed made a great play defensively. He got his stick on that lane. Hatcher is in on the wing. His dump-in attempt fails. I'm trying to go D to D, and that was really dangerous for Brent Burns. Winger up there? No, icing. In the late stages of period number 2, Burns is going to ice it. This could be a costly penalty. Love that retro helmet worn by Doig. The old school CCM helmet, a classic. There are two classic hockey helmets in NHL history that come to my mind. That CCM helmet, which I don't know what the model is. Someone in the comments will probably point out what that model CCM helmet is. And there's the Bauer 4500, Nike Bauer 45. Nike Bauer at one point, a couple of huge saves. That's why you don't ice the puck, Brent Burns. Exhibit A, why we don't ice the puck. We almost gave up a goal, man. They would have been right back in the game. Fucale answers the bell one more time. How many times can Fucale answer this bell? This is the goal from Matt Duchene, his second of the night. He has both goals that have been scored in this one. Yeah, we still haven't picked it up offensively. We're down on shots, 29-13. And I mean, it's not so much that we haven't. I think we've looked really good with our possessions. We're just really picky, choosy about when we shoot the puck. We're really decisive about when we shoot it, and we're looking for that perfect shot, that perfect lane that we can get into. Ming, I'm going back to the point since I dragged two players with me. That has to reach the net, it won't. And that's part of the problem. We've had a lot of point shots that have gotten blocked in this game. Sidney Crosby, all the strength in the world. Sid's backhander is turned aside. I got help in the corner by Max Pacioretty. What a goal! What a nice goal! That was Sidney Crosby. He dropped it, skated up high in the zone, came back down low with some speed. Watch him receive the pass. Shoots. He put it right to the blade of Su Kai Ming. 87-85. Right past Neuwirth. I didn't think that was going to go in, number one. I wasn't expecting a deflection either. I was thinking Sid just needs to beat Neuwirth clean. He does not. He sets up the goal for Su Kai Ming on the deflection. We'll rim this around. Niederreiter goes at Doig, who's wearing that classic lid on his head. I'm going to feed this down low. Never mind. Duchene will bump that puck behind ourselves. Get to this puck first. Duchene down low for Kuzhawinski. It'll deflect away from both Doig and Niederreiter, who were entangled with each other. Afinogenov. He's going to pull up on this right wing chance. Burns turning aside Afinogenov, who stays with it, though. He'll skate out front, put one hard off the pad of Zach Fucale. We're really entangled in a scrum. And about Zach Fucale, it's funny. I saw a post today about Zach Fucale with the post of him with the Washington Capitals a couple of years ago. It's crazy to think that guy didn't establish himself as an NHL goaltender. It shocked me. For some reason, it just never occurred to me that Zach Fucale never became like a staple NHL goaltender. I'm going to drop this right here at the blue line. There it is. Kamayev, you got to shoot. Rebound. Stromwall was there. The rush chances look really clean for us if we can get something off the rush here. Severson, I'm going to wrap that back up the boards. Kamayev's waiting for me. LeBlanc, it's a little slow developing, but I'm going to do the same thing. Punch it wide. Down low for Kamayev. That will totally get intercepted. Easy intercept by Poirier. The pass knocked down on its way out of the zone. Tursunbayev loves his dekes, man. He loves the deke. He might be the freaking Fedorov of this modern Red Wings team here in the game. It's a little behind. Here you go. Pacioretty didn't collect that puck. He eventually does. Has to wrap it back in, however, from behind the blue line. So we would have been offside on that play. No matter for, never mind. I thought Sidney Crosby was going to get that. Well, look out for Tursunbayev. This kid's really good. His shot is rejected all the way back to the high point there. And I'm going to shoot low, but block. Crosby wraps the puck up. He's going to dance with it. Twirl toward the blue line. Ronning brings it in offside. So my attempts to be creative have been a little bit short-sighted in this game. Tursunbayev in the clear. Weird shoveling on. He shoveled that on the backhand. Easy save for Fucale. You got to test the goalie more than that. I thought he hit a post earlier in this game at one point. He probably did. Wouldn't be surprised. We've been so good on our forecheck. We've gone back to our aggressive, approach to our game, which we abandoned in Game 5 against the Maple Leafs because we had to. We were giving up way too many chances to Toronto. But we can play with that aggressive style here against the Red Wings and feel really good about ourselves. Go keep that puck in. You keep that puck in. Bertrand, you had one job. Burns gets a stick on it. And Burns will just try to float that away from Dana Tyrell. I'm going to just throw it. Thank you, Begers, for getting those cheeks right in the way, buddy. Bertrand punching this wide. Cross rink for Burns. Shoot. Burns rejected. Who's covering at the point? Duchene is on net. Blocked painfully. High stick. When we're up 3-0, there's a long way to climb themselves back in this game. They got to go a long way to get back in it. But it could be the power play that they need to get back into the game. This does look like Joe Louis Arena to a degree, considering that this was not an, as EA put them, authentic arenas. This was just EA making, that was blocked out of... Why? Why? Why are we fighting? What is this? What are we fighting over? I want a replay. I want a full-blooded replay. I gotta try to dodge some punches. Someone gave me some fighting tips and I didn't really take them to heart. Oh! What a takedown by Max Pacioretty. If somebody gave me a tip on that you gotta dodge and wait, you can't just go trying to throw haymakers, it's because of that? What was wrong with that hit other than your buddy just got destroyed? He got sent to Narnia. And he's not coming back. He went to the wardrobe, baby. We'll win that fight, or win that face-off clean. We also won that fight clean. Go Duchesne. It was pinballing around. Remember that Matt is looking for his hat trick in this game. That's a bad play on Okposo, but Fucale had it no matter. No problem for him. Deflection in. Fucale finds it. He was free skate mode for a moment. Severson eventually down the rink. This is on it is Tanev. He's nudged in the corner by Duchesne with his aggressive shorthanded forecheck. That'll be dumped in. No, it will not. Perseverance winning the day for the Red. Oh my God. Here we go. Here we go with the penalty taking. We've been really disciplined, but here's the penalty taking spree that we were on in Toronto in the last game that we played. And I'm not trying to obviously, I don't even think that came close to the skates. To be honest, I didn't think that was even in the skates for a tripping penalty. But I was trying to take away that lane so they couldn't feed the pass into the slot area. So that faceoff is lost. Huge save. And how many times can I say that about Zachary Fucale in this game? Doig will just spin it away toward that point back door. And once again, huge save by Zach Fucale. Ronning just gave it away. Block by Begris. Doig pinches down. Save on the money is Begris. Down the rink goes the puck. We don't need the forecheck very hard. I'm angling him and into the boards as well. Go. Ming. Duchesne. One deke. Oh, I was going to try to hip-hoppity, hip-hop. Spin move. Messier. Shoot. Short side bid. Rejected by Michael Neuwirth in the net. I had to take a moment to figure out who was in the net for Detroit. Duchesne sweeps to this. Off the backside of his own goaltender. Almost scored on Zachary Fucale. That would have been a no-no. Saucer pass. That'll be a yes, right to Matt Duchesne. And he cannot dangle out three defenders. I did not think so. Marty Betts around the boards for Afinogenov. Hunting him was Duchesne. Get over there, Messier. That's your goal. To get on that guy. That's your job. Duchesne. Hard pass finds Voivoda. He dekes around one. Temporarily. And the one was Doig. We'll love the last name on that player, by the way. Doig is such a great name. Oh, Doig rules. He does not rule the day today. Damon Severson out. Out. I said out. Not in the slot area. Out. Into neutral territory. There it is. Voivoda, do you think he has handles? He has hips of gold. Duchesne, a little behind Matt Duchesne. Up to Nyquist. We will push him into the ice surface. Matt Duchesne around two defense. Man, they're really playing us hard. Really aggressive Red Wings defense tactics. And you can eat that right back, Okposo. Begris lying down. And down and out was Fucale. Makes another big save. LeBlanc, this game has opened up in so many ways that it should not be possible. I'm cutting back. Back door in front. Stromall tapped it on. LeBlanc is right in the face. Up against Poirier. Man, you can feel that the AI is so much faster to every loose puck that they, in this game that they are. Burns. Oh my God, I really had to fight for that. We battled back to get to that possession. Where the hell was my defense partner? Stromall against, is that a penalty? It is not. God, so much is going on right now. Calvert, that'll be a turnover. That'll be Sidney Crosby. Oh, he shot it off of the ass cheeks of Sid. There we go. Glorious chance turned away. This game is really wild right now. It's opened up so much offensively, and we're trying to play for our goaltender right now. So play for Zach Fucale with what he has going on. Ming is gassed again, like we got into in the last game. Severson didn't come over near the boards to support the puck. because of course he did. Freaking numbskull. Out to towards Sidney Crosby. He's going to have to try to outskate Hatcher. He did not. Doig to... Oh, I thought he was passing that to nobody for a second. He did not. He had me fooled. This is Betts. Marty Betts down the wing. Poke check successful. Tori Reinprecht dropping it for Voivoda, but that drop pass was so inaccurate. It didn't stand a chance. Off the skates of Tyrell. Obliterated at the red line by Larry Ronning. Saucer pass out of reach for Voivoda and everyone at center ice. Voivoda sends a man flying. Ronning is on it. He goes off the back of the net, behind the net now. LeBlanc, outlet to center. Bertrand, little deke, stutter step move, back for Stromall, and that definitely hit the nutsack. That's a groin save, baby. 2 balls to stop 1 puck. Sometimes that's what it takes. You got to lay your future kids on the line. And Michael Neuwirth certainly did lay the kids on the line. What a sentence that is. Beager's shot is blocked. We're going to try to keep it in. We're playing for our goaltender right now. That's a fight. There's no... Oh, that is definitely a fight. So LeBlanc just returned from an injury not that long ago, and he's been re-injured. Brent Burns ought to absolutely kick this guy's ass. Oh, it's Brendan Gallagher. Wait a minute. Gallagher didn't just make that hit, did he? Why is he the guy that stepped up? Gallagher's leaking a little bit. He is the guy that made the hit. How did little old Brendan Gallagher just destroy Louis LeBlanc with that hit? Never mind. I thought Gallagher was leaking. I thought I saw blood. Or what looked like blood. Well, I'm out for blood now. LeBlanc's been injured. And the good news is with LeBlanc is that he hasn't exactly been a game changer to this point in the playoffs. Yeah, you can have some of that action. Back to Severson. Voivoda given for Kamayev. His punch deep goes to Hedman. His fan on shot goes to Stromwall. This is really a crazy sequence. No, you don't. No, you don't. Turzenbayev through the crease. It literally went out the goal line, out the other side. I'm gonna dangle this guy. And I told you I would. Oh my God! That was a big save by Neuwirth. Should have been a goal for Ryan Kujawenski. What a move. We're going to win this game. We've broken out all of the tools of the trade. But you know, no man has done it better tonight than Zach Fucale. The highlight reel plays are numerous. Too numerous to put on a single tape. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they used to actually do video on physical tape. And you would record on physical tape. Zachary Fucale's highlight saves couldn't fit on a single reel of tape. That's how many he's had in this game. He's been impressive. Afinaginov is away. We're going to let Fucale see one more shot. That was a really lazy play when your goalie's going for a big no-no right now in the goal crease. And that is another save. Fucale just... I don't know what this guy has lost his damn mind. Messier, get the puck out. Take a penalty, take an icing play if we have to. Play for your goalie. God knows. I know that Fucale's been amazing, but I don't want to test it. I don't want to test the limits. That was a nice play with a hip check. I'm dumping this in because you're getting in my freaking way, Niederreiter. Dumped in. Out of play. Can I hit him? I did. So we got another, montage for Zach Fucale. Roll it. Roll the montage. Spread eagle. Spread eagle save to get over. He wants this thing bad. 15 seconds to go. He hasn't earned it yet. Why didn't I put Matt Duchene out here? I'm an idiot. Matt Duchene should be out here. Timeout and put Matt Duchene on the ice to get his hattie. He won't get it. Oh, screw you, Detroit. I swear if you ruin my goaltenders. That's interference. If that counts, I'm going to be so livid if this counts. Please wave this off. Oh, if this counts, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed if this counts. I think it's goalie interference. We got a dilemma. The shutout is ruined by Dana Tyrell. I'm going to punch your teeth into the back of your throat in the next game. And there he goes. With 2.6, you really couldn't dick our goaltender over any harder than that. Eat one, Detroit. We just took the first game in your barn. Get wrecked. If Zachary Fucale had a shutout in my book, what unbelievable scenes to end this game. He didn't deserve to have his shutout screwed over with 2.6 to go in the game. I thought it was goalie interference. I mean, you can just look at these plays in this game. We were really creative, really nifty stuff. It was honestly the guy in the Canadiens' end of the goal crease that had the best performance on the night, though. If he isn't the first star, you got to give him that. You got to give him first star. I thought it was goalie interference. I'm assuming Hedman took his man out in front of the crease on that play.